Yes, beautiful people. Here, part two of how to work with your sword of truth, your own sword of truth. After receiving the sword of truth and Holy Grail initiation, you carry your own sword of truth. And you can allow your higher self, your own higher self, to communicate with the sword of truth. You can also ask the Ascended Masters, you can ask the Pleiadian, the Sirian, the Andromedan Archangels of Light, or the Lords of Light of the Rainbow Flames to communicate with your Sword of Truth as well. So I've had a few people again asking certain questions, and in this recording, in this live recording, you're going to receive the answers to how to use the Sword of Truth for your own discernment, for your own discriminating choices in your life. And let's just dive into it. So just take a moment to close your eyes and meditate. And while you are meditating, call in your divine essence, your higher self, your higher mind, your higher consciousness. And with a few deep full body breaths, you breathe your higher self into your divine axis. Your divine axis is the breathing tube that extends from above your aura into your crown, from the crown down along your spine. And with every breath you take, you fill your breathing tube with more and more of your own divine essence, with your own higher self, asking your higher self to completely blend with your Sword of Truth. Now, I've had questions from people asking me, hey, I'm in a relationship and it's not flowing so well. What is your advice? First of all, a healer or a person should never advise you to leave a relationship. That is up to God and your own connection to God alone. And your connection to God is your higher self. Your higher self, your higher mind is your direct connection to God. And you make that connection with your own heart. So when I was on this spiritual journey, sometimes I would also visit, healers, and I was sometimes even hoping for them to say that I should actually, leave the relationship that I was in because it wasn't going in the way I was hoping it to go. But none of them would ever tell me that. So, but if you are in a relationship and that relationship is not healthy, a vibrational match, you could, for instance, ask your own heart and ask your own higher self to tell you whether you should stay in the relationship and work through certain things. If that is yes, then it starts to become brighter. Then the Sword of Truth is telling you, yes, you should stay in that relationship, because some relationships go through unhealthy periods of time. And through that unhealthy period of time, you transcend things, you learn lessons that you have to learn in order for you to actually be able to be in a healthy relationship. And it doesn't make sense to finish that relationship prematurely, because you're just going to go and attract exactly the relationship that you need, that is going to help you where you have left off. So the Sword of Truth will also be able to tell you, your higher self will be able to tell your own Sword of Truth, whether you meet someone and is that a vibrational match. Yes, then okay, then the Sword of Truth will start to shine bright. Yes, truth. If that is a no, then the Sword of Truth will dim. If it's dual, it's yes and no, it might start flickering, and you might want to ask certain questions. Why would it be yes and why would it be no? And then based on those answers, you can make a discerning choice in whether you want to proceed in that relationship or not. If you've just met someone and, your ego might be like, I just want to make love with this person, Before you do so, you might want to tune into with your Sword of Truth whether that is already the right divine timing for you. If it's the right timing for you, the Sword of Truth will go bright, lighter. If that is not the right timing yet, then it might dim and say, okay, hold your horses, hold your horsepower. Take the time to get to know this person before you move into such intimate energy exchange. These are the questions that you can ask the Sword of Truth, whether someone is in alignment with you, whether someone is a vibrational match with you, whether it is the right thing to move forward into having intimacy with each other. The Sword of Truth will be able to give you answers to all of these questions. And if the Sword of Truth would dim and says no, and you still get yourself into doing it anyway, then you're setting your ego up for a learning and growing experience. There's no failures, there's no mistakes, there's only opportunities to learn and grow. Now, if you are in a relationship with someone and the relationship goes into such negative spiral, manipulating, controlling, gaslighting, narcissistic, you can ask the Sword of Truth whether you could still stay in that relationship. If the Sword of Truth dims, it says, no, you're not a vibrational match at the moment, then you have to let go in love. Letting go in love. And the Sword of Truth could also tell you whether you could, for instance, in the future be a vibrational match again. You see, because when we move into relationship, what usually happens, things are being triggered from each other, and temporarily it is better to maybe individuate, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay individuated forever. It could also be that through inner work you could be able to individuate, and after that individuation, after the healing has occurred, you could also be able to unify again. Now you can ask these questions, all of these questions, to the Sword of Truth about relationships. These are intimate relationships, but you can also ask the Sword of Truth questions about business relationships. Should you go into a business relationship with this person, and then you imagine the person's face around or in front of your Sword of Truth, and you ask your higher self to tell you whether that is a person that you should or you shouldn't get into a business relationship with. And then based on the answer you receive, when it gets brighter, yes, then you should be able to get into a business relationship with this person. If the Sword of Truth dims, then it's better not to go into a business relationship with this person. While relationships evolve, we also sometimes get to moments where we have agreed to karmically maybe learn certain lessons. And we also, at a certain level of negativity, have to be discerning in saying, okay, maybe this intimate or business relationship has gone a little bit too far into the negativity. Ask the Sword of Truth whether it is necessary to stay in that negative spiral, or whether it is more healthy to individuate and take some time to reflect, take some time to heal what has been arising, so that after that, unification is still possible. Now, these are a few ways of, again, how you are able to work with the Sword of Truth in terms of relationships, in terms of love and business. And I will make another live video about how to work with the Sword of Truth in the next few days about how to find out certain negative chords, contracts, and beliefs. So stay tuned.